Welcome everybody back to the new user webisode series, episode 3. Hopefully you've made it this far. It's great to have you with us. And today we're going to talk about taking Buildertrend on the go. And I'm super excited. I'm Zach Witovich. As always, I was here in episode 1 and 2. And I have my close friend and colleague, Taylor Henney, for episode 3 as well. And her and I are both very passionate about the mobile app. And it's a construction company.
Yeah. I mean, you're on the go. You have to be able to have the information that you need at your fingertips. So
we thought what a great way to wrap up this series with how do we get everybody kind of using their phones to connect with you back in the office or vice versa. So let's focus in on kind of what we want to look at today, which is how to navigate and using those core features. You're a new user at Buildertrend. Where do we start? In episode 1, we kind of talked about team buy-in and key things and getting started with the schedule. Episode 2, we talked about the ins and outs of your settings and your infrastructure and how to get things going. And now it's kind of like, let's get using the dang thing with our actual program. So I'm going to jump into the app here. You download the mobile app on your app store. That could be an iOS device, an Apple device, or an Android. Wherever you download any app, type in Buildertrend. You'll download it. You log into it the same way you log into the program. So make sure you have a download so that you can get logged in. When you log in, you're going to see you're met with what we call the summary screen or your home screen. And this is one of the slept-on pieces of Buildertrend when it comes to ease of navigation. I really love coaching people to stay on the screen for the majority of what they're doing. But the first thing you got to do is make sure that you're actually in the right place. So I'm going to click at the top of the screen, the home drop down. You can see there's a little caret where it says 8 of 12 jobs selected up at the top. I just tap, and that's going to pull open my active jobs. And from there, I can flip between which jobs that I want to use. And at the very top, you can see I also have my most recent ones. The other cool thing about the mobile app is you can view all your jobs at once. And that's a great way to get all your information about your different projects all in one place. So at the bottom of the screen, I'm going to hit all listed. If you're on an Android device, it is just in a slightly different location of where that all listed is located. And that's the thing, that functionality of your device doesn't change, just some placement of little things like filters and grid settings like we talked about last time get changed on the mobile app. So keep that in mind that your device might look a little bit different. So I'm viewing 8 of 12 jobs now, and you can see on the navigation screen that I have a lot of different pieces of information. I've got the time clock at the top. I've got photos that are happening. My to-dos are rolling in. I can see videos, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe I want to look at it from a different perspective, or I want to rearrange it. I can actually scroll all the way down to the bottom real quick, and there's a lot of features here, and click Customize. And when I do that, I can prioritize which things that I want to see when I log into my app. So I always kind of told people, think of what you're using first. Is it the schedule? Is it daily logs? Is it photo uploads? Is it clocking in? That's a popular one if you're using our time clock feature we'll talk about today. And to move it, you just kind of hover over the 3 lines. We call it the hamburger. And we scroll up to the top, and I'm going to put the schedule right there. And maybe I just don't want to see something. If I just want to get rid of it, I can be like, you know what? Don't want to see any financial features at this time on the home screen. Let's go ahead and turn them off, and then hit save. And just like that, I'm well on my way to using the app. The other cool thing about the home screen is the activity feed. And this is something that is exclusive to the mobile app right now. It is being worked on for desktop. And I like to explain it as an activity tracker. And it doesn't matter if they're using the desktop or if they're using the mobile app, the activity feed will capture everything. So I can see that Bonson Plumbing accepted the trade agreement at 9:30 yesterday, that Cameron updated an owner invoice. And how I'm flipping between that is under summary and activity feed. I'm having kind of that experience of flipping between. And what's even cooler is I can actually click it and it'll take me into that item. We'll have to, yeah. What's really cool is I can click into it and it'll actually take me to that item. But I'm going to go back to my summary screen here and talk a little bit about some of our other key features within the program. Taylor, before I do that, what would you like to add? Is there anything that I'm missing on the directory, or excuse me, on the activity feed or summary screen?
Well, I was just going to interrupt you. So
yeah, go ahead. By all means.
I will say a lot of times like a phone call will come in and we'll point out the fact that like the owner of the company, people who usually maybe might not be in the field, still important to download that mobile app because it really just gives all of the information at the tip of your fingers at all times on that activity feed. You can make sure people are logging in, doing what they need to be doing. So just make sure that just because you're not in the field yourselves, it's still a great tool to download and have at your fingertips at home too.
Yeah, absolutely. And totally free to download. So it's not like there's an extra cost for having a mobile. Works on iPads, works on phones, obviously. So this is a great way to bring people together and make sure you're getting the most out of the software. Well, let's take a look at some of the key features that are going to be a big part of what you're doing with the app. And we'd like to start with schedules, daily logs, and to-dos. So you can see at the bottom of the app, we have schedules and daily logs already listed. And that's kind of the key second piece of navigation, is figuring out what job am I in, what's my home screen look like, and then what shortcuts do I have available for that. So I'm gonna start with the schedule. And if I click into that tab, all I did, it can be hard to see here on camera, if I hit schedule, I'm just flipping right into it, and it's bringing up information that's upcoming. And at the top of my schedule, I can see that there are different views. There's the month view, there's the agenda view, the list view, the Gantt view. We touched on some of this in episode 1 of the strengths of each view. Taylor, which view do you like the most?
I actually like the agenda view.
On mobile?
Yes, I love it because it's just like everything's like nice and organized. It's down the line. It's all in order. You can easily see the job, especially when you're looking at all listed.
Yeah.
I like that. And usually, you know, when you're creating the schedule, the month view is a nice one to look at because you're looking at the full scope of the project. But when you're out in the field, you're usually like, just want to see what I need to do right that day.
Yeah.
So
I was kind of a naysayer on the agenda view for a long time because I didn't understand the utility in it. And once I saw it on mobile, it makes a ton of sense. I think of it almost like an itinerary.
Yeah.
That I'm looking at the schedule and I can basically get almost like a checklist of the schedule items of like, what is actually happening today on Thursday for me to actually have to follow up with that sub or trade on. So yeah, agenda view,
Cool.
I'm a big fan of that as well. And notice in the app, if I click month view, for example, I can't view on the mobile all jobs month view. It would be a lot to fit into even an iPad screen, so keep that in mind. But I may want to look at like something like the list view, which doesn't have as much detail and just kind of gives me like the range of time, or even the Gantt chart, which requires me to also be in a single view. So let's actually pick a job. So I'm going to click the jobs list and I'm going to go into all listed and we'll take a peek at the agenda. Oh, real quick, got to find a job that actually has a schedule on it here.
we'll start that one over.
Don't laugh, John. There has to be. Oh, I'll just be smarter than
Go to
that.
all listed. Go to agenda and see which day.
42 Wallaby
Wallaby.
was on there, but okay.
But what dates? Yeah. Okay, we're good.
I think we're good. Yeah, it was. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to flip into a job here and choose 42 Wallaby Way, and let's look at the month view of here. Now you can see on the month view, it's got this kind of time range that goes on it, and what's really cool is I can edit it right from the mobile app. And this is something that takes a little bit of feel. It can be something that people kind of struggle with initially. If I tap, it hollows it out. I don't know, how would you explain it? It makes it empty, it uncolors it. I don't know.
I like that.
Yeah, but once you do that, you can edit it and drag it right to a different date, and I'm pulling it back from there. So really easy to do it once you kind of understand what you're supposed to be doing. The other thing is pay attention to what mode it's in. Maybe I don't need to move the date, I just need to make it longer. Up in the top left-hand corner, you can see that I have this little toggle between duration and move. So I'm going to flip to duration, and now when I hold it, it'll let me actually change it from there, which is really cool. And then the Gantt chart, obviously another nice piece because you can see those relationships, and that's what I always try to encourage people to remember about the Gantt chart is it tells you from your phone, if I move the foundation, it is going to change the framing schedule. And that's a mistake people make a lot, is they don't understand how this relationship is. They can't see it from something like the agenda view. So you kind of have to learn the basics, and then once you get to that relationship understanding, the piece where you kind of see how everything ties together, that's when you can really start using the Gantt effectively on mobile. But it can take a little bit of time to get there. We like the agenda view.
Yeah, we like the agenda view. Agreed.
Anything else on the schedule before we move on to something like daily logs and to-dos?
Well, let's just make sure that you encourage your team to get out there and keep that updated. Remember that the schedule is the backbone of Buildertrend. So moving that schedule can affect a lot of other things in the background. So get your team out there, incentivize them. Updating that schedule can really get the program moving right away, and they have no excuse because it's at their fingertips.
Yeah. Taylor, why don't you talk a little bit about daily logs and I'll navigate.
Yeah, daily logs, great feature to get started with in Buildertrend, and it's really what we call a quick win, right? You get a lot out of it, but it's really easy. So the daily logs in general are a way for us to log what went on that day or that week. But obviously more the better. It also allows you to upload pictures and stuff to it as well. So we'll go ahead and navigate to the daily logs if you'll show them where that is, Zach.
Yeah, yep, sorry, I jumped ahead there. So if I was on the schedule, what's really nice about the app is it's just down there at the bottom. You'll see daily logs. I click it.
All right, so we got a list of daily logs here on the left panel. So these are existing logs. So let's just view one real quick. You just simply click on it. Click on it, we've got all the notes in there and the photos that we took and attached to this daily log. It also tracks the weather, which is really great, especially in construction. We know that weather really can delay a project. So this is a great way to share information with your homeowner, like, hey, here's a real weather log. This is why we're delayed. We do have our stuff together. So we also have the ability to communicate in. So internally, a great way to communicate, let's say that there's like a site issue, right? So you can have them log the site issue, have them notify who needs to be notified, and then you can communicate within that daily log. And we love the comments because it keeps the conversation within the entity that it actually pertains to, right? It's no more looking through text messages or sifting through emails or trying to remember a phone call. Keep that conversation within the comments and within the actual issue. A lot better to organize. And then other people in your company can view that information. Maybe they don't get notified for daily logs, but they can actually go in there and see and give a homeowner that called in an update. So
there's
really
a
lot
lot
of
of
value. Tons of value out of the daily logs. And I will say, the being able to upload a picture right from the daily log or right into it is a great feature to capture all of the data that you need for all the questions that come up in construction.
Yeah, and so it's very common that people start with daily logs so they can start seeing the value right away. It's super easy to fill out a daily log. On this screen, Taylor pointed out we already have an existing one. If I want to add a new one, anytime you see a plus on the app, that means add. So pay attention to those little cues that are kind of sprinkled throughout the program. In the program here, you'll see, or in the app, I'll have this plus. That opens it up. It's going to pull my location really quick. I'm going to hit allow, and here it is. This is the form. And I can hit add attachment, add my photos right from there.
Right.
And another great feature that is worth pointing out is the talk to text. And it just uses your your microphone right inside your app. So if I open my keyboard in the left-hand corner, I can even demo it here on air. It'll work great. Went to job site and inspected. It's pretty reliable. It works really well. Sometimes you gotta go a little slow. It's easy to talk super fast. Give it a little time. I think you'll find it pretty effective. And when you're done, you hit save, and boom, you just create a new daily log just like that. And there's another great piece to daily logs that are a different feature, which are called to-dos. Now, you can make a to-do independently, or you can just make a to-do right from a daily log. What's a to-do? It's a task. Something happened, I need to follow up, or you can even create to-dos ahead of time at the start of the job to say, I need my materials added here, there, they need to get this done. It doesn't matter. To get to to-dos, you can do it from within the daily log, but we'd also recommend you hit the more button at the bottom, and then that will open up a window on the left, and you can hit to-dos over here. And to-dos, you can see, will let you know if they're past due. They help you stay on top of things, if they're completed or not. You can search for to-dos that are done. And you can also add checklists within the to-do. So in a lot of ways, it kind of becomes a task list. So common things we see them used for at the start of jobs, you have pre-construction checklist, punch list at the end of the job, one-off scenarios where there's something broken or you need material, you can send it to your team. And this is a place that people really see a lot of gains as well quickly because you know that you have things that need to get done. And a lot of times you're going to your text messaging, to your email to find this information. And if you can bring it all into one place, like through to-do system, or train your team to use to-dos when they need something completed so that you can follow up with it, it's going to go a long way in making things kind of come together.
Yeah.
So
I also think to-dos are incredibly important in determining the difference between what a schedule item is and what a to-do is. Because a lot of people try to cram it all into one schedule. So the to-dos are like the small little tasks that come along with all of your production items. Your schedule should just be things that are physically happening, like your excavation, your foundation, your framing, your plumbing. But your to-dos are going to be your things like, you're ordering materials, delivery dates, client meetings, things like that come along. We know there's a ton of tiny little tasks. If you put them all into one schedule, it's too convoluted, and your guys get on site, they pull up the schedule, and it's just a ton of tasks that, some are linked, some are not. So it's a good way to separate the two, and I think the to-dos are just a really powerful, quick win.
Yeah, for sure. And I want to demonstrate how to make one here really quick. Just like you make a daily log, you can make a to-do the same way. I'm on my to-do list here. I'm going to click that blue plus or the white plus up at the top left. There, a new to-do will load up over on the right. I can fill it out. We'll call this one just a punch list, something simple. And what's really great, Taylor alluded to this, is there's a relationship to the schedule here. If I scroll down, I can see this option to link to. And what that lets me do is make it so that I can connect the to-do to the schedule. So now if I change my schedule, the to-do will also go with it. So let's say I need this done 3 days before the final schedule item. In this case, we'll say it's a framing. And now, if I were to go and adjust that schedule, it would actually adjust the deadline. And these can be complex. They can be very short and simple. It ultimately is dictated by what are your needs for a task management. But by and large, in that punch list now, I can go back and edit it, and I can continue to build it out. And I can even say, I'd like a checklist items here. So, check drywall and, do other things on the job site that, would go and make it part of the punch list. But it is really powerful because nothing gets missed. You can follow up with people, you can standardize your process, or you can give someone kind of an active use of the app. And we could talk about this all day.
Yeah.
So we got to move on for time clock, which is kind of the third core feature that a lot of our users start with. Let's talk about the time clock in general. And I'm actually going to go back to the main summary screen because I think the easiest way that people are going to want to use the time clock is from summary screen.
Yeah.
Taylor, I don't know if you agree with that.
Well, yeah, it's the first thing you see when you clock in, and you got to clock in at 8 a.m. or 7 or so it's the first thing you want to see.
So I'm just going to simply, I've chosen my job. And if I wasn't in a job, let's say I was in a listed job, I can just demonstrate it for you. And I click clock in. It's going to ask me, hey, where do you want to clock into? And we do have a general job, but we recommend that you opt in to the actual project that you're looking to use. So all I did is select the job off that list. And then from there, I can even choose what cost code I want to clock into so that I can, if you're using our financial features, tie this to your budget and start to track labor costs. And I can even put shift notes where what I'm doing today. So let's say I'm doing the framing. All of this gets registered on that specific project. And what's really cool is if I move jobs, so now I'm going to go to the top and I'm going to jump over to Davidson Estate. I can, go ahead and clock into a new job from there. So if I click into the time clock shortcut, I can say switch job, and now I'm just like that into this new project from there. So there's a lot of detail with the time clock, but we really want to try and make it as easy as possible for your users to just change their job, clock in and out, switch jobs. They shouldn't have to clock out throughout the day. And we also have this great break feature where they're going to be able to say, all right, I'm taking a break, and then clock back in without it affecting their pay or any of the reporting details that you need. Taylor, what am I missing on the time clock?
Well, it's just as simple as that. We
want it to be easy.
Yeah, we want it to be easy.
Yeah.
So just clock in and clocking out, switching jobs when you need to on the go.
It seems so important. And one of our colleagues here at Buildertrend, he used to work in landscaping, and he always talks to us about he had a computer in his office, and they'd all have to go in on the honor system.
Yeah.
And it was really inconvenient as well because they'd have to bring everything back, remember to clock in, and you're relying on human memory, human error. There's a lot of room for improvement. This is a process that if you can get people using this quickly, you're going to see huge returns almost immediately.
Yeah.
Just with
Have
a
you
little
ever
bit of
tried to
prep.
add up time on a
It's a
timesheet
pain,
like
yeah,
that?
and it's a
Takes
different number.
forever.
Yeah, it's a huge pain.
Yeah.
What's also cool is the user can see their totals as well. So the user is kind of aware of how long they've worked, how many hours. They don't have to remember to manually calculate it. It keeps track of it for you. So all of that there is for their convenience, and they can even check their shifts, in specific projects or across jobs. So it's about learning to navigate where things are, how it all comes together.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Taylor, do you have one more thing to say?
Well, I just want to say that this is a really good feature to get going right away. Because it's everybody needs to track their time in construction in some fashion, and it's so easy, and it's a good way to introduce the time clock to your team. It gets them logging into Buildertrend for the first time. It's a super easy feature that's going to save you a lot of time too.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, we're a little bit against the clock here. Let me stop that. We'll change that. Unfortunately, we're out of time for today. If you're getting started in Buildertrend, reach out to your support team. We've talked about it a bunch throughout the web series. We have tons of content. Check out the Health Center. We have people standing by to help you get ready and going. We wish you the best of luck in getting started with Buildertrend. Taylor, thanks for joining me with this. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, thanks
I'm
for
Zach
having me.
Witovich. Taylor Henney. Have a great rest of your day.
Bye, guys.